Good morning, dear students. We are going to discuss about nose today. So when we talk about nose, we will be discussing the boundaries of the nasal cavity. We will be discussing the medial wall, which is nothing but the nasal septum. We will be also discussing the lateral wall of the nose. And including this, we are also going to discuss the paranasal air sinuses. So you can see this is the nose which is shown here, right? So nose is the organ where respiration starts and it contains sensory neurons of smell. So it contains external nose and nasal cavity. When you see this is the external nose, it is pyramidal projection of the face and it presents tip which is called as apex. Then it has root. This particular area is dorsum of the nose. Okay, then the inside cavity, you call it as each nostril, also called as nares. Between the right and left nostril, there will be a partition which is called as nasal septum. The soft tissue which is down, which is actually present on the inferior aspect of the nasal septum is called as columella. Now, when you see the formation of nose as a whole, it is formed by bones and also cartilages. So the upper part of the nose is formed by bones like we have nasal bone which is shown in yellow color here. We also have maxillary bone which is the frontal process of maxilla. Then we have nasal notch of the frontal bone. This is the nasal notch of the frontal bone. The lower part of the nose is formed by cartilages. So the various cartilages are anterior border of septal cartilage, this one. Then upper lateral nasal cartilage, the one which is shown in green color. Lower lateral nasal cartilage. And then we have, this is the lower lateral nasal cartilage. Then we have alar cartilages, like we have major alar cartilage, we have minor alar cartilage. You can feel in your own nose like there is fibrofatty tissue downwards. So these are the bones and cartilages and soft tissue elements which are actually taking part in the formation of the nose. Okay, then. Now, when you take the coronal section of the neck region, you will be able to see very clearly. This is the right nasal cavity. We have left nasal cavity. Between the two nasal cavities, we have a partition which is called nasal septum. So it extends from the nostrils to the choanae. So in the nasal cavity, you can see it is extending from the nostril and the posterior most opening is choanae. The area of the nasal cavity close to the nostril is called vestibule. So this is vestibule area, this is choanae area. Then it is lined by skin. Vestibule is lined by skin. Then it represents like each nasal cavity, it has roof, floor, medial wall, which is nothing but nasal septum, and then we have lateral wall. Now, see if you observe this picture, now this particular area is roof. So the roof has three parts, like it has anterior part which is formed, like this is the anterior part which is formed by the frontal bone and the nasal bone. So this is frontal, this is nasal, and the sloping downwards and forwards, frontal and nasal bones. Then intermediate part, it is formed by ethmoidal part, that is the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Okay, that is the horizontal part. Posterior part is, this is the sphenoid bone where we can see the sphenoid air sinus also. So this is the vertical and sloping part which is forming the posterior part of the roof of the nasal cavity. Okay, anterior part, frontal and nasal bones. Middle part, you have the ethmoid bone. Posterior part, sphenoid bone, which is actually vertical and sloping part. Now coming, once you are done with this roof, let us see the floor. So the floor is horizontal. It is concave from side to side. You can insert your finger into the nasal cavity and feel for the floor and wash your fingers, hands. Okay, so it is horizontal, concave from side to side. It is formed by hard palate. Okay, this is all hard palate and also maxilla bone. The medial wall, which is also called as nasal septum. So nasal septum itself can be a 5 marks question and sometimes it can be essay as well. So often if you just feel your own nasal septum, that is the midline partition between the two nasal cavity, usually it is not seen in the midline. Usually it will be deviated either to the right side or to the left side. So this medial wall divides the nasal cavity into two asymmetrical halves, and you can see this nasal cavity is covered by mucous membrane. So this is the median sagittal section of head and neck region, where the section has been taken exactly at the nasal septum. Okay, so this nasal septum is dividing the nose into the right and left nasal cavities. Okay, you can see the roof, how nicely it is shown, the frontal bone, nasal bone, and the ethmoid bone, sphenoid bone. Floor is formed by the hard palate and maxilla. Posterior openings are the choanae. Anteriorly, we call it as the vestibule. Okay, here it is lined by true skin, where you also see the hair, which are called as vibrissae. You can see the other pictures of external nose. We are finding the nasal bones, frontal process of maxilla, nasal part of frontal bone. See, this is all like norma frontalis, where you are finding the nasal bone. This is the maxilla bone, right? So this is the nasal septum, which is a partition, which is partly made up of cartilage and partly made up of bone. This is the lateral wall of the nose, right lateral wall, left lateral wall. From the lateral wall, you can see the projections coming, which are actually called as the concave. Okay. No. See what the various bones and cartilages. Okay. This is the alar fibrofatty tissue. Okay. Then. So this is the nasal septum, which is covered with mucous membrane. Okay. And this is the posterior opening, which is called as choanae. This is the vestibule area, where we have true skin and hair. Okay. Now in this picture, it helps us to actually make us understand what are the various bones and cartilages which are actually taking part in the formation of nasal septum. So in the nasal septum, we will see the contribution of nasal bone. We are finding crista galli. We are finding cribriform plate of ethmoid bone, perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone. The one which is shown in green color is vomer bone. Okay, then this grayish in color is septal cartilage, greater alar cartilage. Okay, this is hard palate. Then you will see the perpendicular plate of palatine bones. Okay, so these are the various bones which are actually, even this is sphenoid bone, sphenoidal air sinus. These are the various bones which are actually taking part in the formation of the nasal septum. Let us go into further details of the medial wall, also called as nasal septum. We know it is dividing the nose into right and left halves, often deflected from the median plane, and makes each half of nasal cavity somewhat asymmetrical. Even I have shown here also, it is not exactly in midline, but it is deviated. So this nasal septum is lined on each side by mucous membrane, except the mobile part, which is covered by skin. It is formed partly by bones and partly by cartilage. Now the principal bones which are taking part here are perpendicular. This is the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. It forms the antero-superior part. Apart from this, we also see the nasal bone and the frontal bone, and the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone is also taking part. And inferiorly, you can see it is completed by vomer. Okay, then the upper margin is in continuation. See, this is the upper margin, okay, of the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, which is in continuation with the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone, which we have shown you when we were doing cranial fossa. In the anterior cranial fossa, we will see the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Then anterior-superior margin, it is articulating with the nasal spine of the frontal bone. This one. This is the nasal spine of the frontal bone. Okay. And a crest formed by the union of the two nasal bones. This one. Okay. Then the antero-inferior margin receives this one. It receives the septal cartilage of nose. Then posterior-superior margin joins with the sphenoidal crest. This one. This is the sphenoidal crest. Then posterior-inferior margin. This one. It is articulating with vomer. So violet color is the perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone. Green in color is vomer bone. Now, see, this is the vomer bone, so which is forming the posterior-inferior part of the nasal septum. It is bony contribution and it is quadrilateral in shape. Then this is the vomer bone. In green color it is shown here. So grooved upper margin between diverging alae receives sphenoidal rostrum. Okay, this one. The lower margin, that is the nasal crest, formed by the fusion of maxillae, this one, and the palatine bones. And its tip fits into the incisor crest, this one. So the lower margin of the nasal septum, it is actually formed by the fusion of maxillae, palatine bones, and the tip is fitting into the incisor crest. Okay, that is. So these are like, this is a well labeled picture. This is what I want everybody to draw using different colors of your choice to represent different bones when this question comes. So the nasal septum, you can see it is formed by perpendicular plate of ethmoid, vomer, okay, nasal crest of sphenoid bone, nasal spine of frontal bone, vertical crest of nasal bone, okay, then nasal crest of palatine bone, then we have nasal crest of maxilla, septal cartilage. So this is the actually like you are finding, it's a partition here in the midline. So vaginal process of these are the medial and the lateral pterygoid plates. We have the pterygoid annulus. This is the medial pterygoid plate where you have the projection pterygoid annulus. We came across these terms when we were doing muscles of mastication, right? Okay, so this is the vomer bone. Okay, the posterior openings of the nasal cavity, they are called as guanae. Okay, now this is the nasal septum, right? And this is the posterior margin of nasal septum, which is free and it forms medial boundary of these openings, which are guanae. These are our medial and lateral pterygoid plates. Medial pterygoid plate, we are finding this is the pterygoid annulus with the medial pterygoid plate. This is called pterygoid annulus. Then anterior margin, you are finding perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone and receive septal cartilage of nose. Okay. Then apart from that, we have accessory bones. So above and in front, we have nasal spine of frontal bone and crest along articulation between nasal bones. Accessory bones, the other bones we have above in front, we have nasal spine of frontal bone and the crest along the articulation between nasal bones. Above and behind, we have the sphenoidal crest. We have rostrum. Then below, nasal crest formed by the articulation of palatine process of maxillae and horizontal parts of both palatine bones. Okay. Then cartilaginous part, antero-inferior part of the septum, we have septal cartilage, septal process of lower nasal cartilage, vomeronasal cartilage. This one is vomeronasal cartilage. This one is the septal cartilage. Okay, so overall, the nasal septum and the various bones forming are shown here. These are the two nostrils are anterior nearest. Okay, we have major alar cartilage, small cartilages which are minor alar cartilage. This is the nasal septum where we have the septal cartilage. So this septal cartilage, anterior major part, like we have anterior superior margin continuous with the upper lateral cartilage. Then antero-inferior margin receives on each side septal process of lower nasal cartilage, also called as major alar cartilage. Posterior-superior margin is receiving the perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone. Then posterior-inferior margin, it is in continuation with vomer and the incisor crest and anterior nasal spine. Okay, so these are the four communicating points of the septal cartilages. Okay, then septal process of lower nasal cartilage. Each process is connected by fibrous tissue with that of opposite cartilage, and it is covered with skin and forms mobile part of septum. This one. Okay, then vomeronasal cartilage. So sometimes between vomer and the septal cartilage, here we will get vomeronasal cartilage. Okay, contains on each side a mucus pouch called as vomeronasal organ of Jacobson in this area. Each pouch extends blindly upwards from lateral incisive canal for a distance of about 2 to 6 mm. The pouches are lined by olfactory epithelium and they are supplied by olfactory nerves. It is rudimentary in human beings but well developed in macrosmatic animals like rabbits and dogs, like whose olfactory organs are very well developed. Okay. Coming to the blood supply of the nasal septum, so we basically divide it into four quadrants. We have, this is the anterior-superior, then this is the posterior-inferior, and this is the mobile part. So anterior-superior quadrant is supplied by anterior ethmoidal artery. This one is the anterior ethmoidal, which is a branch of ophthalmic. Posterior-inferior area, this is the posterior part and inferior part. It is supplied by the sphenopalatine and greater palatine branches of the maxillary artery. Okay, this is the mobile part of the like septal branch, which is supplied by the septal branch of nasal artery, superior labial branch of facial artery. Now, an area of antero-inferior part of the septum is highly vascular. This slide is very important because you will get a question like Little's area for 3 months or Kisselberg's plexus for 3 months. Let us see what is this. So suppose if you just pinprick your nose, what happens? It starts bleeding, right? Okay, so that means what? See, if you pinprick or do something, you will see the nose starts bleeding like this. That means we have a network of blood vessels over there. So the network of these blood vessels is formed by these 3 blood vessels. What are those? Septal branch of facial. Okay, this is the septal branch of facial artery. Then we have long sphenopalatine. Okay, then we have terminal branches of the greater palatine arteries. This is the sphenopalatine, and then we have greater palatine. Okay, facial artery septal branch. Then we have greater palatine arteries contribution, and we have sphenopalatine arteries contribution, which forms a network in the lower part of the nasal septum, which is antero-inferior part of the nasal septum, which has rich blood supply, that is highly vascular. So this area is Little's area. So suppose if you just prick this area, the nose starts bleeding, and this condition is called epistaxis. Okay, and this network of blood vessels is called as Kisselberg's plexus, and the area is Kisselberg's area, also called as Little's area. Even if small ulcer or dryness is there affecting this area, it produces heavy profuse arterial bleeding. Okay, so this is the Little's area. Okay, coming to the venous drainage of the nasal septum. So anterior superior part is draining into superior ophthalmic vein. Posterior inferior part will be draining into pterygoid venous plexus. Mobile part is draining into internal jugular vein through facial vein. So infections from mobile part may extend into cavernous sinus. We know this dangerous area of face, right? So via deep facial vein and pterygoid venous plexus. Hence, it belongs to dangerous area phase. Okay. So just to revise this, like we see, this is the lower part of the nose nasal septum. From here, the venous like facial vein to deep facial vein, it is connected to pterygoid venous plexus. Through emissory vein, it is connected to cavernous sinus. Hence, if any part of the dangerous area phase is infected, you will see infection can easily pass to cavernous sinus, leading to thrombosis. That is, the clot of blood is formed in the cavernous sinus. Okay. Then now the upper part of the nasal septum, veins accompany the olfactory nerves and drain into inferior cerebral veins. Occasionally, few veins may communicate with superior sagittal sinus, which we have studied with the falx cerebri, dural venous sinuses, right? Through foramen cecum, which is nothing but the opening what you see in the anterior cranial fossa right in front of the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. So sudden and severe nasal bleeding in elderly hypertensive patients, that means high blood pressure patients due to rupture of these venous communication. So generally nature's safety procedure is to reduce increased intracranial vascular pressure. Okay, that is nasal bleeding is actually helping the person with loss of blood so that the blood pressure is coming back to normal. Okay, so that is. Now coming to the lymphatic drainage of the nasal septum. So anterior part we have submandibular lymph nodes draining into. Intermediate part of the nasal septum is, and also posterior part is draining into retropharyngeal group of lymph nodes. Upper part few lymphatics accompany olfactory nerves along perineural sheaths and drain in cerebrospinal fluid of subarachnoid space. Sometimes airborne viral infections produces rapid infection in the meninges and brain called as meningoencephalitis following perineural sheath infection. Coming to the nerve supply of the nasal septum, see this is the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone where we see so many olfactory nerves, sensory nerves, which are actually starting from the olfactory mucosa of the nasal septum. They are actually moving through these holes into the anterior cranial fossa. So olfactory zone, 15 to 20 bundles of olfactory nerves conveying sense of smell. Then remaining zone, nerves of general sense are derived from ophthalmic and the maxillary division of trigeminal nerve. Okay, so now see this is the anterior superior part which is having the anterior ethmoidal branch of nasociliary. This is fifth one, that means ophthalmic division of trigeminal. Intermediate part, it is receiving the nerve supply from the long sphenopalatine branch of pterygopalatine ganglion conveying fibers of the maxillary division of trigeminal. Posterior part is taking the sensation, general sensation of smells through short sphenopalatine nerves, nerve of the pterygoid canal and nasal branches of greater palatine nerve via maxillary division of trigeminal nerve. Then anterior-inferior part is carrying the sensation of smell via anterior superior alveolar nerve, which is also a division of fifth two, that means maxillary division of trigeminal. The mobile part is actually carrying the sensation of general sensation of smell via external nasal nerve, which is the branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal. This fifth one. Okay. So this is the olfactory area. Okay, where you have the olfactory nerves, which is the first cranial nerve, purely sensory. Then this is the anterior ethmoidal branch of nasociliary. This area is nasopalatine. This area is anterior superior alveolar nerve. Now coming to the clinical anatomy, you see I told you the nasal septum is never in midline, always it will be deviated on the right or the left side. So DNS, you will be studying this topic again when you go to your ENT classes, 3rd MBBS. So deviated nasal septum, it is common important cause of nasal obstruction. You can see this is right nostril is being obstructed because of the deviation of nasal septum. So the predisposing factors are there may be some injury, trauma, or developmental error, etc. So severe and causing mechanical obstruction, difficulty in breathing, okay, like sinusitis, headache, excessive snoring. These are the features is the person which usually be presenting with. So generally there will be a surgery which is called as submucous resection or septoplasty. So after septoplasty, it looks something like this. It is coming back to the normal position. Okay, unless it is really causing some issue, generally we do not undertake surgery to correct deviated nasal septum. So the clinical features of deviated nasal septum are nasal obstruction, headache, sinusitis, nose bleeding, that is epistaxis. Then there may be external deformity, that means the nose appears as though deviated to one side. Okay, and there may be infections of middle ear as well because of the communication which we see through the eustachian tube. So this is the septal cartilage, not only forms the partition between right and left nasal cavities, but also provides support to the dorsum of anterior two-thirds of the nose. Therefore, its destruction due to disease or excessive removal in submucous resection leads to supratip depression of the external nose. Thank you.